Away from the building! Away from the village!
Hogwarts Legacy is a game that will transport you into the magical world of Harry Potter, allowing you to explore its rich history and unique lore. The open world is vast and detailed with beautiful landscapes and recognizable landmarks from both the books and movies, giving you a rather immersive experience into the world of Harry Potter, to the likes of which we've not had before. From the moment you step onto the Hogwarts grounds and start venturing into the countryside and locations surrounding it, you'll be captivated by the attention to detail and the rather large scale of the game. The story in Hogwarts Legacy is serviceable in what you'd come to expect in a modern action RPG. Light spoilers, hard to do a review without that, but I'll keep it brief and nothing more than what the advertising for the game might have revealed. You are starting in Hogwarts as a 5th year, which isn't normal. Why? Because you have the special ability to see and use a special type of both lost and powerful magic, ancient magic. Why were you discovered as having this? Who knows, that's just one of the many plot holes and threads left unanswered, especially confusing as you get to a certain point in the main campaign where this is answered, sort of, but not really. But it's the world building and nods to the known history of Harry Potter universe that really shine in the game. As a student at Hogwarts, you'll discover the secrets and mysteries of Hogwarts and its surrounding area, uncovering hidden treasures and exploring ancient ruins. This game is full of nods to the Harry Potter universe, with references to characters, creatures, and events that the player might be familiar with thanks to the various movies and books in the universe. And all of this will be dealt with through the player's field guide. It is a special book you are given at the beginning of the game, where all of your collectibles and information is stored. You are given the book, and your goal with that book is to quite literally fill in the pages, which do fly away at the beginning of the game. This is where all the lore you find in the universe is collected, and there are specific challenges connected to filling in those pages, whether that be catching a flying book entry that's floating around the main hall in Hogwarts, finding the entry located within Hogsmeade or the surrounding countryside and hamlets that the player can visit.
Good morning. I trust you're ready for your first day at Hogwarts?
In addition to the main story, there's also a ton of extra content to discover and participate in within Hogwarts Legacy and the countryside around it, from side quests and minigames to collectibles and secret areas. The game offers plenty of reasons for the player to keep exploring both the castle and surrounding countryside. Side quests following specific students from the houses are present as well, dealing with poachers and someone's love of animals, to saving a family member from a curse that was stricken upon her when she was younger, to helping the town of Hogsmeade deal with bandits extorting the townspeople. The main side quests are quite fleshed out and satisfying to run through and complete. Now, one-off side quests do exist, with someone who you'll speak to once, accept the task, travel somewhere, kill something, collect a few things in return, typical RPG fluff affair. However, the thing is, you're usually taken to a new location you might not have been to, and along the way, at the location on the way back, you might discover a few locations or other collectibles in the open world or puzzles. These side quests are really good at giving you a new avenue to explore the surrounding Scottish Highlands. Now, there's also a bevy of side activities to complete and collectibles to find as well. And the best part is these activities and collectibles actually give you a worthwhile reward to completing them. Most RPGs with these activities, it's a piece of loot that you've massively outgeared, and that does happen in this game. I'll cover that a little bit, but it seems a little bit more worth it. From completing Merlin's challenges, little puzzles that after so many completions, you get more inventory space for all the loot you're grabbing, to collecting little statues specifically at night, which will help you give you more powerful lockpicking spells, which allows you to get into locked places, to loot more gear and discover new areas, collect additional field pages. It's all great, and it's all actually satisfying. I found myself running around, seeing everything I could do, realizing that I have to come back later at another time. There's also hidden little crypts you can run into, all closed by some sort of simple puzzle outside with a piece of gear and sometimes a field page located inside of it, which you can collect the gear, sell it, collect some new appearances for your gear. And there's battle arenas scattered across the lands. These are waves of enemies coming at you with special modifiers in location, allowing you to test your battle acuity and experiment with different builds and different spells and how they combine to create fun effects to defeat your foes. And you lose, you restart it. They're actually really, really fun. Then you even have like a dueling club where you can duel other wizards at the school of Hogwarts in non-lethal duels, though. Your character's a little special and sometimes goes a little overboard. To a shuffleboard style game, where rather than pushing it, you pull the balls to you. Broomstick racing courses, you have balloons that pop in certain areas. All of this stuff gives you new items, new inventory space, spell upgrades. It all seems really worthwhile and beneficial to actually explore and do the content in the game. And then there's the Room of Requirement. This place is massive and it expands as you play more and more of the game, and allows you to set up even a magical beast sanctuary to farm materials and take care of different beasts and breed them. And then you're just at that point breeding a magical beast breeding wizard, and you could sell them to a specific store who rehomes them to loving and caring families. You can farm materials for upgrading your gear within here. That's the best part of the magical beast sanctuary. Different biomes as well to store different animals. You can then put in tables to pot different plants, from the Chinese chomping cabbages, or mandrakes, or I forgot the one that sets up and spits goo and gunk and poison at enemies. You can grow these as long as potion ingredients. Various potions are extremely useful to use in the game. This Room of Requirement is fantastic, and it goes beyond that. I did the bare minimum, use it as a farming location. However, there are a ton of items you can collect to decorate your place, from looking like a scientific, botanical, large area to a brooding and dark gothic area if you so choose. The exploration and the collection is another great reason. If you want to fill out this Room of Requirements, that is going to be something you do need to do. Combat in Hogwarts Legacy is rather unique and an overall fun experience, blending the various magical spells you have at your disposal that you've seen or read within the novels and movies, with traditional action RPG mechanics such as parrying, counters, dodging, and matching damage types to enemy shields. Most spells fall into one of 4 categories, mostly just by what they kind of do. The important part here is that various enemies will have a shield around them, color-coded, reflecting most attacks except for the corresponding type of spell. Blasting them with the correct spell type will break that shield, stunning them slightly, allowing you to do follow-up attacks, either your standard trigger attack, which is essentially just like hitting something with a sword or shooting a gun, however you want to correspond it, or following up with various other spells in different types of combo attacks. Now initially you only have 4 spell slots, and they give you 1 of each spell type pretty quickly, but however you'll soon be able to unlock multiple spell sheets, up to a total of 3 unlocks for 4 total. I ran around most of the game with each spell type to a specific category of spell. They do all fill out. The red category, the more just general fire or attack type of spells, has 5 for some reason. 1 can be kind of interchanged with another, so I typically just had 1 on each slot, with one of them being for that 4 type Unforgivable Curses. On there I did have the 1 non-combat spell I found myself using quite a bit, Disillusionment, which is like a stealth spell, puts you into stealth mode. You'll get these Unforgivable Curses through a side quest chain, and I gotta say they're an absolute blast to use, but if you are using your talent points in a certain manner, going through the Dark Arts tree, you can essentially just kind of break the game. At one point, I was fighting a group of 8 enemies. I applied a curse mark to multiple enemies because different spells will give a curse mark to an enemy. Then the capstone of that tree is casting Adavra Kedavra at an enemy. Killing that enemy will kill all enemies you are fighting with that curse mark. It is extremely satisfying. It is also just extremely overpowered. So there is that as well. There are 2 more types of spells. You have some more puzzle type of spells. Wingardium Leviosa is for solving puzzles. Lumos for lighting the way. Stuff like that. Then you also have 1 more type for dealing with the Room of Requirements specifically, and that's for dealing with magical beasts or building the room itself. But going through all this, the combat itself is very creative. Certain spells will exploit different enemy types, allowing you to follow up with a certain spell while the enemy might be tough as normal. That will just become essentially a 2-hit kill on the enemy. You take advantage of a move they're doing, stop them with that, and then bop them out of existence. It's really fun and allows a lot of fun experimentation with different enemy types and different spells you might not have initially thought. Finally, we come to the Ancient Magic. It is also kind of game-breaking on its own. In some ways, not the same quite as the Unforgivable Curses. Not only is it the major plot point in the game, why your character is special, but it is something you can wield offensively in combat as well. Most commonly, you'll use it to pick up various objects around the battlefield and throw them at enemies. This will also bypass enemy spell shields because you're not casting a spell at them technically, you're hurling a boulder or an explosive barrel, because why wouldn't there be an explosive barrel? Yeah, of course there's wizards, but why wouldn't there be explosive barrels? So far as you can even turn an enemy into an explosive barrel, then hurl it at their friend, killing them. So there is that. Now you also do have a Ancient Magic meter you fill up. Hurling items doesn't track from this, and once you do... Now, like I mentioned, no game is perfect, and Hogwarts Legacy does have its few detractors, though nothing super major, honestly. There's no pay to win, there's no cash shop, there's a couple pre-order items, but they don't make you any more powerful. They're just cosmetic changes only, which I'm fine with. You pre-ordered, you played 3 days early, you had to deal with any potential bugs from not having that day 1 patch. Who cares? It's not pay to win. It's not a cash shop. It's just cosmetics, which is great. The big thing is that the menu design in the game is kind of clunky. You pull up your menu, then you have multiple sub-menus to go through. If you get a new hat for your character and you want to check it out, you open up the main menu, then you go to your gear, then you go to your head selection, then you sort through the gear you have for that hat, and then when you need to change it, you need to go back, and then you need to go back into your hat's appearance and find that and change it. And this is really all just made worse because every time you go into one of these sub-menus, the cursor you use to select when using a controller, at least on PC, where I was playing it resets to the top left. So if you're working on anything like the pants or the body or the gloves for your character, those are all pretty far on the right side of the screen, so you have to drag that cursor all the way back, and I found myself, when navigating the menus, just switching to my mouse to make any sort of selections and using the controller otherwise. Aside from that, it is something you can learn to use. It's just really a gripe and annoyance. Bug-wise and glitch-wise, I didn't encounter anything game-breaking. You can find a few videos of people online attempting to solve an outdoor puzzle, and the boulder that they're essentially using for the puzzle gets launched off into the distance, into the lake, never to be seen again. Now, I don't know if that will respawn at a certain point, like if you wait at the main map for a new time of day, if you fast travel, I don't know. So do be warned when doing anything like that you don't do anything intentionally dumb with your puzzle pieces, because you might not be able to access that gear or complete a side quest or something like that. What I did see was a few just graphical issues. I had a NPC student sitting on a bench, but they were in the middle of the hallway sitting on nothing. One thing I did see was a student walking up the wall, but after investigating a bit more because I was so confused and intrigued, they were just practicing magic to walk up a wall. So some stuff can just be kind of glanced by. The biggest... Overall, I do think Hogwarts Legacy is a great game that does appeal to both people who are hardcore into the Harry Potter universe and people who might just be looking for a solid, fully included single-player RPG. The game, it's a fantastic RPG. As a child, I read the Harry Potter books, but I watched the movies I'm not super into the lore and everything though, but given the opportunity to dive into it and a pure magic-based combat system which is filled out fantastically with variety that you'd be looking for, it's present. The open world is very fleshed out. There's a ton of side activities to do, side quests to do, puzzles, places to explore, and if you do want to get into the universe, reading through the field guide pages you do pick up and collect is a fantastic way to go about it. The game does look good too. It's not stunning or mind-blowing, but it looks really good and it runs fantastic. The unique but both familiar combat system, this game really is just a must-play for anyone who loves having an immersive gaming experience or just loves story-rich games. Despite a few minor flaws that I was able to easily overlook, and really most people do not seem to be encountering anything game-breaking, Hogwarts Legacy is a game that will definitely keep you enchanted from start to finish, and I do recommend this to anyone looking for a really good or really solid single-player RPG that you're not going to be tricked into needing to purchase anything more for.